finally, we have Jocelyne Cesari.
I would like here to give my testimony as a scholar who was trained in Europe in political science, but was also trained in religion, meaning my training was interdisciplinary by definition. And I have always considered myself as a scholar of religion and politics. And it has been very challenging since my 15 years of experience in the US to see how much of this interdisciplinary is not translating really in the academic discussion on the role of religion and politics. And I would like to take it from here to look more closely at how Harvard Divinity School and schools of religious studies in general could take up a challenge that I think is a very important one about this interdisciplinary approach. Because when I came here, the big topic was on the clash of civilizations. And for me, this work is typical of the lack of interdisciplinary approach in the way you look at religion in one way or univocal approach to religion, meaning religion can trigger clashes. And it's legitimate. It does happen. So how do scholars of religion bring to awareness to scholars of politics another light on religion that is what is mentioned here, the multivocal aspect of religious tradition. And it's a challenge. I have a conversation all the time with some of my colleagues who have worked on Catholicism, working on Islam. The objection I hear a lot, and not only, again, in policy-making circles, but also in academics on politics, is that religion is religion of the sword. Islam is religion of the sword. I remember one of the chapters of Huntington's book was the bloody borders of Islam. So this is exactly the univocal approach to religion. When I talk to my colleagues on Catholicism, we agree that maybe this debate on what the role of religion in international conflict or the lack of, I would say, deficiency of democracy in Islam, this could have been a debate 40 years ago about Catholicism and the conjunction between Catholicism and fascism. So this is the role of scholars with this interdisciplinary approach to remember that, or to make people aware, including in other disciplines that are not automatically trained in a particular religion, that religion can never be univocal. And I think it's an important point, not only for academic training, but also for policymakers that most of the time also work or operate, sometimes with the best intention, on this particular vision of the univocal aspect of religion. The second aspect is also the other way around, meaning having been trained in political science, I have no particular, inhibition vis-à-vis religion. but I can see how many of my colleagues in political science in the US have kind of inhibition or intimidation vis-à-vis religion. And one of the major arguments I receive all the time is, oh, we don't do theology. And this cuts the dialogue right there. How can you work together if you don't take into account also what the colleague does? And the problem is also, I think, on the side of scholars of religion, to look at religion beyond the belief or beyond the text. I'm saying it's important, but when we want to create these bridges, and again, I'm sorry, it looks a little like my own experience here, but I did a lot of sociology of religion. Sociology of religion, when I was in Europe, it's a challenge here. Well, for me, it was a given. And in the sense that it brings together a perspective on religion that is not only on the text or the belief, but also what people do, the behaving, what my colleague Grace Davy in the UK calls the believing, the belonging, and the behaving. And I think that religion could be one of the tasks of divinity schools could be also to broaden up the approach of religion in this sense. The second importance, and this goes more to the dialogue or with other disciplines. It's about having a role in contextualizing religion within different regional, national, and cultural environments. And again, I give here an anecdote. When my students were old enough to be adult when 9/11 happened, I used to ask them, what did you do after 9/11? And a lot of them went, and a lot of Americans did that actually, went and bought a Quran. And so my whole job over a semester was to try to explain to them that if they want to understand, you know, this radicalization of a group of people vis-à-vis Islam, the Quran is not going to be helpful on its own. Because then you can indeed use a few surahs here and there, but the whole contextualization on how this book can be used in a certain way has to deal also with historical, political, cultural context. And in this sense, to take over what Shaun was saying about collaborative approach, I think there is a lot to do on bringing in the study also of religion and in the dialogue with other people interested in religion, the knowledge of politics, history, regional studies, and this is a big task in itself. And here I would like to also say that there is an important aspect, which is the networking and the team effort. Again, religion cannot be the ownership of only one group or one particular discipline. And it's very, very difficult to challenge in any context. And in this sense, there is also reflections going on today in other parts of the world on what is religion, what is secularity, what is secularism, that we have to bring in the Western context. In a global world, it's also important to take into account what scholars from China, from Africa, from Latin America are saying on this topic. And sometimes it's also challenging to bring this particular body of knowledge in not only in the classroom, but also in the understanding that policymakers may have of these regions, because they tend also to look at challenges happening in this part of the world through the Western lens of education only. And finally, and that's where I think I am a big believer, as you mentioned, of the digital aspect of it, in the sense that there is, beyond the training of academic or scholars of religion, there is a big need out there to present data, information, but not only information you can get everywhere, but analytical approach or framework to look at events that divinity schools and schools of religion could bring in the digital world. And I think this is a huge topic in itself that goes, I think, beyond the question of religion and peace only. And that's it from thank you.